Good afternoon. I'm your host, Dr. Festus Osai. Welcome to your doctor and you. Your life and your health are all in your hands. I want to put two scenarios before you and I want you to be the just judge. The first scenario, a young man was very, very hungry. In fact, about to the point of fainting. He said, no, I cannot die. He walked into a restaurant and he ate. After eating, they gave him the bills to pay. He looked at the bill and said, look, I don't have money to pay the bills. They asked him, what if you don't have money now, how do you intend to pay the bill? But he said, I don't even know how to pay the bills. If you are the owner of that restaurant, what will you do? If you are those people around when this situation is happening, what will you do as well? Will you fight for the restaurant or fight against the restaurant for trying to insist on the man paying his bills? Or will you support the man to pay the bills because he cannot afford to pay bills? That's by the wayside. In any of these situations, you know your response. Now, the second scenario is this. A man was rushed into the hospital, was ill, critically ill, rushed into the hospital. He was treated, he got well, and was about to be discharged. And they presented a bill before him to pay. And the next thing he said, I don't have money to pay, Father, I can't pay this bill. And of course, one or two things started happening. Pay your bill, I'm not going to pay. Then the hospital, in a bid to recoup his money, was now being labeled so many things, which I know you'll be one of those ones that will label such a hospital. Now, if you are the owner of the hospital, what will you do? If you are those people that have been informed of a man being in a hospital, the way the hospital is trying to recoup their money, what will be your action, or what will you say, or what will you call that situation? I leave it for you to be the judge and for you to make your comments. Hospitals are run not on grants, especially when they call them private hospitals. They're not run based on grants. They're not run based on any support from anywhere. But hospitals are run based on the bills you and others pay to sustain the place. The hospital fuels the generator, service the place, pays salary, does all kinds of things to make sure to keep the place standard to save your life when you come as an emergency. Some of you may complain, oh, imagine I went to the hospital the other day, there was no oxygen. I went to the hospital the other day, they said there's no this, there's no that. If you don't pay your bills, how will the hospital be able to get those facilities to keep you alive? Paying your bills is one of the most important things you need to do to create that relationship or maintain the relationship between you and the hospital that is taking care of your life at that point in time. But what happens in this country today? You treat someone, you do all the things you want to do, when it comes to pay bills, quarrel. The next thing they want to do, they go to the media, they go bring all manner of people to come and say how to harass you or bring the hospital down, believing that the hospital they have been detained in the hospital because they cannot pay bills. Hospitals don't detain patients. They don't detain, they try to recoup the money, they don't detain people. They don't detain patients. You may have one or two isolated cases, but hospitals don't detain patients. What we do, or what hospitals do, is to see how they can recoup that money. It's a very simple thing. If you're in a situation whereby you've been treated, you don't have money to pay at that point in time, what you tend to do, what will you do at that point in time? Discuss with the hospital, with the management. Tell them your payment plan. It can be 1 day, it can be 2 days, it can be 1 month, it can be months, it can be a year, so that you can now think of how you can religiously offset your bills. But that doesn't happen. Or you can just say good and create a good relationship with the hospital. Or some of you too that are in the habit of carrying rumors about hospitals, news about hospitals, detaining patients, and the rest, and creating all kinds of emotional outbursts of criticism in the hospitals. What you would have done, that energy with which you paste all those information around about the hospital you're talking about, you can also create a GoFundMe for that patient. So, oh, now, instead of saying the hospital detained the patient for not being able to pay the bill, you can say, okay, a patient is owing so amount of money in a hospital. Please, let us see how we can raise this money and pay the bills, so that the hospital can also continue with its meritorious service to render such services to other persons involved. And if before you know it, you may have people, sympathizers may come and start donating money for that cause. Now, but what do? Bring down the hospital, call the hospital names, whatever. Imagine that hospital that took care of that man when he was very ill at the point of death. Some of them you see, they will call even at 12 midnight. These doctors are the only people that you see in our morning, in the afternoon, even at bedtime. We think about our patients. When it comes to the issue of paying bills, we become your enemy. Do we deserve such treatment when it comes to a situation like this? I'm telling you, just imagine one day you walk up to that hospital you go every time when you are ill, and you discover the hospital has been closed down. How will you feel? So if a lot of hospitals are even closed, people have been thinking of relocating out of the country because, see, without the passion to save life, a lot of doctors will not be in Nigeria today. But you like to save life. You don't want to see people being ill. But let me tell you, there are good patients that pay their bills. If they don't have money to pay bills, they will tell you how they can pay bills. but a lot of them are not doing too well. What they need to do is to flog up sentiments. People can fight on the hospital, take the doctor to court, do man of things before you know it again. They say, the doctor is wrong, They put one kind of allegations against him, and that is the situation we have on ground. So I want to tell you, before you take that step you want to take against that hospital or that doctor that saved your life, think twice, because tomorrow is another day. I'm your host, Dr. Festus Osai. Remain blessed.